This session is we're going to be portioning whole chicken and using various different parts, one for stock and potentially for sauteing as well. The aim of these videos is about learning a new skill, maintaining a skill, or improving on a skill. And with that in mind, when we're talking with our poultry, we're talking with our bird, the first thing we need to always identify anytime you're working with anything is to make sure you check the quality points first. This means that we use all our senses. We smell, we're looking for a fresh smell. If it does smell off, then that's the first indicator chicken's not good. We're also looking for a pliable tip of the breastbone. If it's flexible, it's indicating freshness as well. Anything stiff, rigid, indicate not as fresh. The skin shouldn't be sticky to touch. And also we're looking for a creamy white texture or creamy white color as well. What you may find here is this right here. This area is bruising. This usually indicates that the animal suffered some trauma prior to death. Now, as you can clearly see right here, their bone is broken. Now, sometimes it affects the taste, sometimes it doesn't. But you, as a chef, need to be aware of your ingredients. So, what we're going to be doing, as I was saying, we're going to be cutting our whole chicken down into portions. First thing we're going to do after we've checked our quality points is we're going to remove the foot part. Notice how my knife just simply goes through. What we're doing, we're locating in between the joint. Once we've located it with our finger, we can come straight through. Anytime you're doing a sawing technique, you're not going through the knuckle, through the joint. That means you're trying to cut through bone. So that means change the knife angle in order to make sure you go through the joint. We're then going to remove our wings. Again, use your finger, locate in between the joint where it bends. You see that bending right there. And then using our knife finger, we can locate right in the middle and it cuts right through. We're going to do the same again on the other side. Using our finger, locate the middle, knife goes straight through. The knife I'm using is a bone-in knife, best knife. It's not flexible like our filleting knife, it's very rigid. It has a point, and also we've made sure we've applied our sharpening techniques as well. We have our neck right there, but we're not going to focus on that yet first. First, we're going to remove our legs, which consist of our drumstick and thigh. In order to do that, we can see that our legs are connected via skin to our breasts. By cutting right through, it starts exposing our thigh, and there's part of the carcass bone as well. All we're going to do, we're going to follow the lines. A meat, poultry, whether it be poultry, beef, lamb, they always have lines that gives you the indication of muscle and where to go with your knife. Same thing again, we've located our thigh, using the skin, cutting through the skin. Easiest option to do is our thigh is connected to our carcass. All you got to do is one pop, using that finger right on that bone right there, which is the thigh bone. We're coming around and we pop it out. Notice it pops out right there. Again, we're following lines. See that line right there? It's very faint, but we can just come right through. We do the exact same thing on the other side for the other leg. Same thing again. Exposing that thigh, using our finger, pop it out. Same thing again, we're now running our knife across that line. Now, depending on what you're going to be using, depending on what you're going to be making, we can easily, if needed be, separate the thigh from the drumstick. In order to do that, look, it's giving us our indications. There's our lines right there. And if you put, there's that big thickness of fat right there, and your finger right there indicates the bone going in like so. Using our knife, we come right through, and it shall separate. Anytime you're hitting bone, you ain't gonna go no further. Yeah? So it's always important that you do locate the knuckle using your fingers. Now we're at the point where we have our back, which forms the carcass, and we have our two breasts as well. What we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be removing our wishbone. Purpose of removing our wishbone is it helps for carving. And I know that some of your assessments involve you removing the wishbone. So what we've done, we're exposing the neck. There's our breast right there. We're coming down, we're taking out some of that fat right there, because that's all that is, fat and neck. There's the neck right there. And what we can easily do, first we're gonna remove that fatty bit. That's by taking it out. That's waste. Those fat there, we can't use. Same thing again. Oops. We're just gonna cut out our neck. The neck we will be able to use. So, our wishbone, just like at Christmas, just like with your turkey, chickens have wishbones. These wishbones are located right at the head of the breast. And if you're using your finger, it's important that you do use your finger because you can actually feel the bone location. It goes up on both sides, forming up to the middle right there, connected to the carcass as well. In order to remove that, first thing you've got to do is feel. Once you've felt where it is, you're gonna use the tip of your knife to come in to start exposing that bone. You're gonna do it down both sides to feel. Expose the bone. Now bearing in mind, the bone goes up. Bone goes up, all the way up. And if you do it correctly, using a little bit of cutting, but it should just come out. And there's our wishbone, cleanly removed. And hopefully what you're aiming for is it not to break. However, sometimes wishbones do break. Yeah? Not you purposely doing it, but when you're removing it. All that needs to happen is locate the breakage, take out the other side. So now we have our breast. At this point here, if we was to remove the back right here and just have the two breasts that's still attached to the breastbone, we have something called a crown. Okay? A crown, which is the breast attached to the breastbone and the back removed. And usually you'll find when cooking on the crown, whenever we cook with the bone, it creates more flavor as well. Now, to remove the breast, remember what I was talking about earlier? There's lines. Exact same thing again. There's that line that follows right down the middle of that breast, right there. We're gonna use our boning knife, spread, and it's gonna come in. Because what we wanna do is expose that center bone. So there we go, we're exposing the center bone. Now bear this in mind, our breastbone goes like this, with the meat breast right there and the breast right there. So that means when we're using our knife, we're coming down one side, we're coming down the other side. We're not attempting to take them both at the same time, they are separate. So now we've got down, as you can see, I'm on this side, and it's this side I'm going to continue coming. I'm using the tip of my knife and I'm running it up against the carcass. against the bone to make sure there's minimal waste. Put that right there, off it comes. And again, we just follow it all the way down. Now we got to this joint right here. We're at that joint, yeah? We're now gonna come down, because there's our bone, and if we do it right, it comes right through. Same thing again. Don't worry about that too much, because we're gonna clean up our chicken breast afterwards. That's one side. Now, we have our center right there. We're now gonna come with our other side of our breast. Same thing again. Coming down. Oops. And using the tip of our knife, making sure that we're keeping as close as possible to the bone to minimize waste. We get down to the knuckle right there, you can see it right there. And same thing again, we come right through. Now we have our carcass, which this carcass right here, in our next video, we show you what we can use this for. Now with our breasts, we can do a little bit of trimming because we've got a bit of the carcass still attached there. So we're going to do a little bit of trimming just to make it presentable, because at the end of the day, our end product is affected by our preparation. We're also going to be doing, whenever you're serving chicken breast in a restaurant, in order for its presentation, we do something called French trim. Now what French trim means, to expose the bone. And that's what we're going to be doing right here. We've got the bone that's attached to the breast, and we're going to be exposing this bone here. In order to do that, right there on that leg, see that bit of fat? We're going to come in and we're going to come up, looking for that bone right there. We then turn it over, bringing up those two bits of fat again, coming up, coming there, holding it, scrape, 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 scrape. This is an important process, to scrape the bone, to clean that bone, because when this cooks, if there's still meat attached, it does not look good. And so therefore, what I'm doing will be irrelevant if you don't do the scraping to really clean the bone. So we're exposing that bone. Now, chefs like to do it one or two ways. You can either do it that way, or you can do it that way. I'm going to attempt this way on this instance. Now what we have to do, we're going to be using the heel of our knife. I'm using my chef knife because it's the more stronger knife, and the size of the blade as well. Using the heel of my knife, I'm going to be applying pressure that's going to come snap down straight sharp. It's important that you're not trying to do it in two movements, you're trying to do it in one movement to avoid the bone cracking. What we're aiming for is one quick, sharp, which avoids, hopefully, any cracking. We've got a little bit of crackage there, just a little bit, but it's still presentable. So there we have it. We have our breast. Again, we can trim that up a little bit more. We have our whole chicken that we've cut down, which includes the carcass, the wings, a thigh, the drumstick, a leg, the breast, a French trimmed breast. And that's our chicken.